I'm the Reverend John Michael Longworth. I'm the pastor of Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in Rutland, Vermont, and also the lead street chaplain for Faith on Foot here in the city. I'd like to share a story from the Gospel of Luke with all of you. Now on that same day, when Jesus had appeared to Mary Magdalene, 2 disciples were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself came near and went with them, but their eyes were kept from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What are you discussing with each other while you walk along?" They stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answered him, "Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem who does not know the things that have taken place here in these days?" He asked them, "What things?" They replied, "The things about Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and leaders handed him over to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since these things took place. Moreover, some women of our group astounded us. They were at the tomb early this morning, and when they did not find his body there, they came back and told us that they had indeed seen a vision of angels, who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb, and found it just as the women had said, but they did not see him." Then he said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have declared. Was it not necessary that the Messiah should suffer all these things, and then enter into his glory?" Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them the things about himself in all the scriptures. As they came near the village to which they were going, he walked ahead as if he were going on. But they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, because it is almost evening, and the day is now nearly over." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, blessed it, and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight. They said to each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he was talking to us on the road, while he was opening the scriptures to us?" This story has become the inspiration for the street ministry that we do here in the city of Rutland, Vermont. We engage every single week with neighbors, with service providers, and with everyone that we encounter out on the streets, with the confidence that every 7 miles, a reference to the distance to Emmaus, we will see Jesus. This has been transformative in my own practice of faith, because it has reminded me of all of the powerful ways that I can encounter the living Christ right here in my community, just by slowing down and actually walking alongside people. We indeed become companions, just like the people in the story. Not only those who walk and talk together, but also those who break bread together. And in breaking bread, see God at work in our lives. The street chaplains of Faith on Foot engage in a 5-step process that we call GEARS. It's really pretty simple. We greet everyone, regardless of the condition that we find them in and regardless of their response. We encounter them. That is, we're ready, like Jesus in the story, to listen to their needs, their wants, their grief, their stories, sometimes even their great joy. Every time listening deeply to their story first is a powerful path to building relationship. We assist them if they need it. Sometimes folks don't need any assistance. They just want someone to listen. Other times they need emergency supplies like clean socks, emergency blankets, food, or maybe even directions to a particular service in the community. Sometimes the need is so great that they want personal introductions, and so we refer. We help bring people face to face with other service providers who can connect them to the things they need to get well. And finally, we keep an eye on everybody's public safety. Now, sometimes that looks very serious. Our street chaplains carry Narcan in case we encounter someone who's had an overdose. But other times, it's simply a matter of giving people space and comfort and making sure that every encounter is grounded in their desire to be in that encounter. We don't ever trap people. Everyone's always free to go. And if it's time for an encounter to end, it simply ends. But we always go, wishing them well, and knowing that we have had an encounter in one form or another with the living Christ in our neighborhood. I'm grateful for these experiences and for the opportunities to bring words of encouragement from Scripture, from lived experience in a life of faith. And what's more, being street chaplains has encouraged us to make our voices heard in support of local activists and organizations. So Faith on Foot has been present to support our high school students in raising the Black Lives Matter flag over the high school, or to go to the March for Our Lives against gun violence, or to March for Black Lives last summer. Also, we've been extremely careful this past year about making sure that as we draw near, that we're not too near. We've put all kinds of safety precautions in place to ensure that both our street ministry and our cafe serve everyone that comes across our path with whatever it is that they want, not what we think they need, but also that we keep our guests and our ministers as safe as possible. Being on the street, moving at human pace, walking alongside, breaking bread together. Being a companion is how I live out my faith, but it's also how God continues to shape and love and transform me. Being in this role of nurturing and caring has allowed me to understand and explore depths of myself that I never would have otherwise. And so I'm grateful for the urging of the Spirit that first pushed us out the door and said, go see. Why not go for a walk? It's as simple as being with your neighbors. God bless and have an incredible day.